Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different video for me, which is actually going to be a book shopping video. Specifically, we're going to be hitting up mostly used and local, like independently owned bookstores. Although there is an Indigo kind of in the vicinity of some of the other ones, like some of the other bookstores, and it's quite a big one, so I might pop in there just to look. We shall see. But I don't normally do like book shopping or book haul videos. Sometimes in a reading vlog, I'll go to a bookstore or mention that I got a new book, but I don't typically buy a lot of books at one time. So there's that. And I also don't want to promote overconsumption here. There are a lot of videos already on Book Talk, BookTube, wherever you get your book content of people buying like a load of books at once and having so many unread books on their bookshelves that they'll never get through it in years and years. And I don't really want this to be that kind of place. I like to try to have a sort of environmental mindset when it comes to purchasing things, and also I don't have like the disposable income to just buy shit tons of books all the time to make book buying videos. I don't want to buy like a ton of books. I'm thinking like maybe somewhere around 3, which is a lot of books. However, if I bought 3 books, I could read them within a month easily. So I feel like that's not too crazy. I have a little file saved on Google Maps. I'll put like a picture here, not a file, but like a list of bookshops that I want to hit up. I'm not going to go to all of the ones that I have saved in this video just because it's a lot and there's only so many bookshops even I can go to in one day. I think the first one that I want to go to is called Black Squirrel. Pretty sure it's Black Squirrel, and I have been there before. They have a pretty good used section for fantasy. I actually got these 2 last time I was there, but yeah, that is the first plan. And then I don't have the names off the top of my head of the other stores that I want to go to, but I will show them to you as we get there. So it's currently raining and it's meant to rain literally all day, so let's get the raincoat and let's go to the bookstore. Also, my tripod broke, so I thought you might appreciate this book stack that I use to put my phone on to film right now. It's a little precarious, but it gets the job done. Okay, I just got back from the first store. As you can see, definitely raining, and I like never ride my bike, so this was a choice of day to do it on. But first store, it was good. I enjoyed it, but there wasn't anything that I felt like I needed to buy. So far we are at 0 books, and I was gonna go straight to the next store, but it doesn't open until noon and it's only 11 now. So came back home first. I'm kind of hungry anyway, so I'm gonna eat something and then we will pick this back up when we go to our next store. Okay, it kind of looks like it may have paused raining, and it's now like 12:15, so we're gonna head out to our next stop, which is Barely Bruised New and Used Books. So we shall see what they have, and there's a couple other bookstores sort of in the area, so we can do a bit of a loop. I think I'm gonna ride the bike again. I was gonna walk, but it's just so much faster to bike. I'm just like, I'm anxious it's gonna get stolen. I have a lock, but still. I've seen a lot of bikes around the city with various parts missing and the frame still chained. So we'll do our best to not get our bike stolen. Yep, that's the plan. Let's get back on the road. Alright, so as I said, the first store I went to was Black Squirrel. This is a cafe and bookstore, so it's the perfect place to go if you want to do a little browsing and then have a coffee with whatever book you've chosen afterwards. A very cozy atmosphere, and it definitely is, the vibe is a little bit more like kind of hip young people, if I had to describe it. It was pretty busy considering it was relatively early in the morning. This time I didn't find anything that I wanted to buy. They do have a pretty decent sci-fi and fantasy section. It takes up like 3 shelves. They did have some that I was interested in, but nothing where I felt like I needed to own this and wouldn't just rather read it from the library. Although I was very tempted by Translation State by Anne Leckie because the cover is just so beautiful. And I was thinking about having a coffee here, but it was pretty full of the tables. That's one thing I will say. It does seem to be relatively busy in here a lot, so just keep that in mind. If you're planning to visit, you might not be able to sit with your coffee. It might be a to-go type of situation. But I do definitely recommend checking out this one for its sci-fi fantasy section. It's got one of the more modern SFF sections that I've seen in a used bookstore, so if you like the more modern stuff, this is like probably the place that I would say in the city you're gonna have the highest chance of actually finding something that you want. Although they do have a lot of like the classic fantasy stuff as well, and they also interestingly have the Folio Society editions of Game of Thrones. They've been hanging around since the last time I was there, so I imagine it's pretty hard to move those because they're probably quite expensive. So if you've been looking for a used copy, maybe go check out what the price is there, because they've got them. After that, I went to a Barely Bruised New and Used Books. I don't know if he actually had any new books, but this was a very kind of hole-in-the-wall little store. I was greeted at the door by a fat cat, and I didn't realize the owner was like standing outside. So it was kind of strange because I was like petting the cat, and then started going to the store, and he just like came in behind me. So nobody else was in the store when I got there. It was very quiet. It's like on the 2nd floor of the building and like in a door. It was kind of strange. I did feel, not gonna lie, a little bit concerned at first when I'm like going into this closed off space with this man, but all was fine. He seems like a nice guy. He had a decent sci-fi fantasy section as well. I got 2 books there actually, which were the 2nd and 3rd books in the Expanse series. I read the first one probably 2023, maybe last year. I don't remember anymore. So I've been wanting to continue it since then, but they definitely feel like the type of books where I don't want to pay for them new. I got the first one at like Value Village or something, so now I have books 2 and 3 also used. It is very satisfying to collect a series used slowly. So yeah, I got books 2 and 3. And then I went to All Books, which was a used bookstore on Rideau. This one was relatively small, and they didn't have a ton in the way of sci-fi and fantasy. They did have some that were like weirdly like stacked on top of like a shelf, and there was no way you could reach them. I could see that they were at least double stacked, maybe triple stacked, and that seemed to be where the like more popular fantasy was. There was some stuff on the floor and in this little cart, and they were mostly all like classic fantasy type things. And then I had like Wheel of Time stuff like way the hell up there. I'm like, why would you put the more popular books where nobody can reach them? It was a little bit bizarre, but they also did have, I think they had some, I can't remember if they had some new books or not, but they had a good like general fiction selection. I think it's way easier to shop for used books if you're a general fiction reader. There's like almost 100% chance that you can find at least something that is on your kind of radar or that you're interested in pretty much any used bookstore. They just seem to be the books that people turn over more often. Like the average person who maybe reads a couple books a year is more likely to have bought one of these new and then like move it on. I feel like the people who read sci-fi and fantasy are more invested somehow. Like they're generally not like super casual about it. Like you might read them casually, but like I don't know if this makes sense what I'm trying to say, but I think they're more likely to hold on to their books and be picky about what they buy. So next I went to, I wrote down the name. I went to Patrick McGahern. It was a rare books and map store. So it wasn't like modern books by any sense of the imagination, but I was kind of thinking it's called rare and used books. I thought maybe they might have some like older editions of Lord of the Rings or something. They didn't, but they had a stunning just like collection of like physically beautiful books with like the locked cages and everything. I was the only person in the store and I felt weird because the guy was just like sitting in the middle like working on like this desk. But I just like did a quick tour. They had rolling ladders, which were so cool. I don't know why he had so many though. There were like 3 along one wall. It's like there's only one shelf there. Surely you can just use one. But yeah, definitely pretty books. But I'm not the type of person to buy a book purely because it's pretty. Like I like a pretty book, but I'm not gonna buy a book just because it's pretty unless I think I'm also going to read it. But after that, I moved on to the aforementioned Perfect Books. Now, this is another one that I've been to a couple of times before. I like their sci-fi fantasy section. They also have like 3 shelves. And I like that while they have a lot of popular books, they also have a good selection of slightly different stuff, not stuff you wouldn't specifically, like beyond what you just get at like a classic Indigo type of situation. They sort of have similar kind of niche things, which I really enjoy. And you can usually find like a popular book that you want, as well as something a little bit different and unique that maybe you didn't know that you wanted. They do only sell new books, however, so it is going to be more pricey, but it is nice to support like a local store, and the people there always seem really nice, and you have a little bit of a banter with I don't know if banter is really the word, but like the cashiers will like, you can tell they read books. They'll comment on the books that you're getting as if they know them, so I'm assuming they do. And I got 2 books there today. The first one I got is The Word for World is Forest by Ursula K. Le Guin. I would have preferred to get Left Hand of Darkness. I haven't got that yet, and I've heard it's really good, but I really like Le Guin's writing. I read Wizard of Earthsea, just like the first book in that kind of world, and I also read Lathe of Heaven. They did have a copy of Lathe of Heaven that was really pretty and I was really tempted by, but even these like little books now are like $20, and I do already have a copy of that one. It's just not as pretty. So I exercised restraint and did not buy it just because it was pretty. I already have it. But I did get this one, which is about, I'll read it to you. When the inhabitants of a peaceful world are conquered by the bloodthirsty humans, their existence is irrevocably altered. Wow, I don't know why that word was so difficult. Forced into servitude, the Athshians, I should have read this in my head before I started reading it out loud. The Athshians find themselves at the mercy of their brutal masters. Desperation causes the Athshians, led by Selver, to retaliate against their captors, abandoning their strictures against violence. But in defending their lives, they have endangered the very foundations of their society. For every blow against the invaders is a blow to the humanity of the Athshians. And once the killing starts, there is no turning back. I just think Le Guin always has such interesting things to say about society and culture, and the way she writes is really good. Really good. Wow, that was really intelligent wording there. I just like her writing. It's straightforward, but also the way she crafts the sentences, they feel, I don't know, just like very clean, I guess. And then the other book that I got is Murderbot Diaries. This is volume 3 of their series where they're like, there's 2 books in here. It's got Fugitive Telemetry and System Collapse, which are the next 2 that I need to read. I really want to get the little hardback versions of this series. They're so freaking cute. However, it cost, I think it was $28 for one story. So the first one here, Fugitive Telemetry, it's like $28 for the hardback version of that. And it's like freaking tiny because they're like shortish stories. Or
This one, which contains 2 stories, is $30. And so I can get the same story for half the price than if I bought 2 hardbacks to cover both of these stories. And as much as I think they're so cute and I love the covers, and just like the tiny hardback is the peak hardback form. It's like the big, I can't reach one. The big trade paperback is the peak paperback form. Tiny hardback is peak hardback form. So yeah, I just ended up getting the paperback combined version. I still think the covers are really cool. I like this art style. I did also really consider another book, which I've forgotten the title of, but I took a video so I'll remember, because it sounded kind of similar to Le Guin, where it's kind of using speculative fiction, like sci-fi type of vibe to say something about our world, and the cover on that was really pretty as well. But then I started doing math about how much these books cost, and I was like, I don't think I want to go for 3 today. So I'm thinking about going back for that at some point in the future. But that was the last bookstore that I went to. So I was pretty close to the number of books. I said maybe 3. I got 4. I think that is pretty reasonable for a book haul. So yeah, that has been my Ottawa bookstore adventure, book shopping adventure. If you live in the city or have done a lot of book shopping here, feel free to let me know if there's any stores you think I should go to, and let me know if you end up going to any of these stores. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.